Hey guys, I'm back again and I'm here to do a different kind of video. So today I'm going to do a book haul. Now, I know I don't usually do book hauls. It's maybe been about 2 or 3 years since I did a book haul. It's been so long, I don't even remember. But I decided why not show you some of the new books that I've gotten since about the 31st of December. Up until now, I've gotten like a ton of books. Some of them have been gifted to me from the publishers, and some of them I have bought. So let's just get started because this could be long. So grab your coffee or your tea or your wine and off we go. Oh, and excuse this. This is just like a new view because where I could actually film and actually be seen. Even though it is very sunny outside, for some reason the sun just is not going through the house in the same way. So this is the situation for the moment. I know that over there looks horrible, but you know, it's in progress. It's in progress. Y'all gonna see that looking good. Give me a few weeks. All right. First on the list, I'm gonna talk about the publisher Cassava Republic. Okay, so it is a African, specifically Nigerian based publishing company, quite small, independent, and I love them. Okay, so Cassava Republic comes through with the original different story that you will not get coming out of the bigger publishing houses. So here we have Cassava Republic. This is their logo right here. I think you can see it if it'll focus. There you go, right there on the bottom. So let's get started with these. I've got quite a few here. So I'm going to first talk about the 3 that I purchased. The first one is called Better Never Than Late. Okay, now this is a story about religious fervor that culminates in an exorcism for one unfortunate maid. A harrowing encounter on a train haunts Anuli. A mother abandons her child in search of personal freedom. A wife joins her husband only to be met with news that threatens their relationship. Okay, so as you can see, this is a short story collection, very slim one. So I should be able to, read this one fairly quickly. And that's probably good for me because short story collections usually aren't my forte, but I own a shit ton of them and I need to get to it. And I think I'm already behind. I think I'm behind 2 short story collections because I've only read 1 so far and I should be reading 1 a month. So, oops, I didn't read 1 last month and I haven't read 1 the month before. So I read 3, I got to read 3 short story collections. So this will, if I can fit this in, this will be it. The next one I have is A Small Silence by Jumoke Verissimo. All right, and the author is right here. She writes poetry, fiction as well. All right, so this one, it follows the story of a political activist / professor who has been in prison for 10 years, gets out of prison and decides to sort of live the recluse life. And it follows the relationship between him and a young woman who idolizes him. So I'm kind of looking forward to this one because this is a debut, and it sounds like a very intriguing storyline. All right, next on the list I have Knights of the Creaking Bed, an intriguing insight into the lottery of life and lust in Lagos. And this is by Tony Khan, who also wrote The Carnivorous City, which I haven't read yet, but I want to. This is another short story collection. And this has a bunch of characters with the stories are connecting. You have a middle-aged housewife who finds love again but has an impossible decision to make. A young man who can't get the image of his naked, beautiful mother out of his mind. A child so poor he has to hawk onions on Christmas Day. Yeah. Okay. So you get the idea. These stories are out of the ordinary short stories. I love these covers. They look like they say nothing, but I'm sure once we've read the collection, they will say a lot. The next one on the list is The Whispering Tree by Abubakar Adam Ibrahim. Now, I had the pleasure of interviewing Abubakar Adam Ibrahim over on my Instagram stories last summer, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book, The Whispering Trees, which is not the first thing he has written. He also has another story out called Seasons of Crimson Blossom, which is also on my to-read list. These stories contain mythological type stories that deal with death and life in northern Nigeria in particular. And I found it very interesting because as I was reading along, you get some really big surprises because you're not really sure what's coming next. And I think that's what adds to the interest of this particular collection of short stories, is that they are very well written, but that you don't know what you're going to get. And there's some great storytelling in here. I highly recommend this one. The last one I have is A Man Who Is Not a Man. And the author is here. I cannot pronounce his name. And this author is from South Africa. And this story explores a man who is entering into manhood or adulthood, and he must undergo a circumcision for a particular ceremony, and it's botched. And from there, we are going to follow this man, and we're going to discuss this theme of what is it to be a man? Is it something that's only in the physical sense? So if we no longer possess the male sex organ, does that make us less a man? If we have the male sex organ, are we always going to be a man no matter what? So he is exploring these themes through the culture of this idea of having to be circumcised. So I'm kind of very interested in reading this, and especially since I don't think I've seen very many reviews of this one just yet. So yeah, I'm a little miffed by this one. Not so sure. Okay, the next one on my list is In the Palace of Flowers by Victoria Princewell. Here is Victoria Princewell. Okay, now I read this the last 4 days of the month of March, and oh my goodness, so good. This is such an interesting novel. I'm not going to say that much else about it because I'm going to do a review of this one, so look out for that one really soon. I highly recommend this one, and I think you can purchase the book at the moment through Amazon. You can get audiobook, you can get physical copy, and I think you can get Kindle. So check this one out. It's also from Cassava Republic. Okay. Next, I'm going to talk about nonfiction. I have a few nonfictions here. The first one is The Black Church. This is our story. This is our song. Henry Louis Gates Jr. Now, this book is covering the importance of the Black church to African Americans, and it goes into detail. The book is not very long. It has tons of pictures which basically follow the church from its beginnings to modern day. And I can't wait to get to this one. I was gifted this by the publishers, so hopefully I can get to this one in the next couple of months. Next on my list, I have 400 Souls. This beautiful book is the British edition. This is done by Ibrahim X. Kendi and Keisha N. Blaine. All right, so this story begins with the arrival of 20 Ndongo people on the shores of the first British colony in mainland America in 1619. The year before the arrival of the Mayflower, in 80 chronological chapters, each by a different author and spanning 5 years, the book charts the 400-year journey of African Americans to the present. A journey defined by inhuman oppression, visionary struggles, and stunning achievements in a choral work of exceptional power and beauty. Okay, this one, oh my God. Okay, I will not be picking this one up, sadly, until maybe next month when I have more time to read it. I have too many books to read this month, so this one is definitely slotted for next month. This was gifted to me from the publishers, and I adore this cover. I adore it. I highly recommend this one. I haven't even read it yet because just from the sheer beauty of the list of authors that are going to be writing in this particular edition. So like we might have Bernice L. McFadden, Angela Davis, Jericho Brown, you know, the upper crust, okay? So yeah, this is something not to miss. This book is probably one of the biggest highlights of books that have come out so far. It's 2021. So yeah, and get this British cover, so good. Next on my list, I have, of course, A Promised Land by Barack Obama. Now this, of course, was, of course I'm going to read Barack Obama's, nonfiction, talking about his first 4 years in office. Yeah, I want to know the nitty gritty and the behind the scenes. So this is quite the chunker, weighing in at some ungodly page number, like 715 or something like that. But I think this one will be slotted mostly for me in either September or October, because I feel like I need to read this when we're back in cold and, bubbled up next to the fire. I think we need to be, huddled up next to the fire with a hot cup of tea or some wine and reading this next to the fire. I really don't think I'm going to be picking this up in the middle of summer. This is just not a summer read for me. But this will be read this year, because I'm not sure when his second book is coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out in November. Okay, the next book I have on my list is The Mermaid of Black, Conch, and it's by Monique Roffey. This is another publishing company that I really adore, which is Peepal Tree Press, and they publish quite a lot of Caribbean lit. And this one has been recommended by quite a few people to me over on Instagram. And it is about a woman who lives in a fisherman's village. And this woman is extremely beautiful, but she's been cursed by jealous wives of fishermen. And she is banished to live on the beach as a mermaid. That's all I really know about it, and that's pretty much all I want to know about it, because I feel like this is the kind of book where the least you say about it, the better off it is for the person that's gonna read the book. So yeah, and Monique Roffey also, as you can see from this copy, won the Costa Award in 2020. So yeah, I'm all in for this one. I can't wait. Next book I have on my list is A Million Aunties by Alicia McKenzie. Okay, so there's Alicia McKenzie right there. This one is about an American-born artist whose name is Chris, who travels to Jamaica, his mother's homeland country, and he's looking for some peace and tranquility. But of course, things happen as usual, not always as planned, and we get a little story about him. So this one I'm hoping to get to this summer, because this is definitely a summer read, definitely a June read. Come on now, hashtag Read Caribbean. This is one that is definitely slotted for June. I have All My Lives Are True by Dorothy Koomson. Okay, now I've not read any Dorothy Koomson. And this was given to me from the publishers. I did not ask for this. They just sent it to me. This actually is the second book to a series. I don't know if there'll be more or not, but there was another book before this, and it's called The Ice Cream Girls. Let me see if you can see it right there. That's the new cover. And this is the second part of it. Dorothy Comson is a very popular Black British, say, crime/mystery writer, and she's written a ton of books. I haven't had the pleasure of reading any of her stuff, but I will be reading the Ice Cream Girls first before I pick up this one. I have the Ice Cream Girls geared up on my Kindle, and so I will, do those one after the other, and I'll let you know what I think. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about this one because it just seems like it's going to be good. But yeah, you just got to try these things out. Okay, next on my list I have Your Blues Ain't Like Mine by B.B. Moore Campbell. Now, as you know, in February I read What You Owe Me, and I told you that it was just okay. And a friend of mine purchased this one for me. Thank you so much, Rosa. I can't wait to get to this one. And she said, oh my God, you have to read this one. This one is the best one. So this is one that I'll try to fit in sometime this summer. It feels like something that I could read this summer. And I'm excited about picking this one up because since February, I think there's already been 5 people on Instagram that have said this is the one that I should read. So it's going to happen. Okay, next on my list is African American Poetry, 250 Years of Struggle and Song, edited by Kevin Young, a Library of America anthology. Okay, so I picked this one up because I figured this is something that as an African American reader and also reader of poetry, that I need to have this in my collection of books, and that I was sure that I would learn some things from reading this and discover some poets that I haven't read before. Okay, this book is quite dense. It is a beautiful edition, very tissue-like thin pieces of paper, but it is all the way into the 900, almost 1,000 pages to read through. So this is something I'm gonna dabble in, meaning I will read poems here and there throughout the year to try to finish this one. This is not something that you can just like read right through. It is, like an anthology of poetry. So I'm looking forward to this one. I'm going to let you know once I get maybe 100 pages in, I'll come back and let you know how it's going for me. But I'm very excited about this one because I feel like poetry is literally neglected on Bookstagram as well as on BookTube. So I'm excited about this one. Okay, next on my list I have We Are All Birds of Uganda by Hafsa Zayan. Wait, let me see if I can show you a picture of her. Here she is right here. All right, now this one, of course I'm interested in it because it is taking place in Uganda. The only reference I have for Uganda is, of course, Queen Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi. And this is by a Black British Uganda origin writer. This is her debut novel. It discusses, I think it's the 1960s Uganda. And the main character is struggling to run his business and has to accept the sudden death of his wife. And I think in the 60s there was a lot going on in Uganda. So I suspect that I'm going to be schooled through the novel as well as partaking in this wonderfully constructed story. Hopefully I will love it. Next on my list I have Colo Hill by Nima Shaw. And here is Nima Shaw. Okay, as the other one was 1960s Uganda, this is 1970s Uganda. Told from the point of view of Asians, so of Indian origin, Ugandan, and it's 1972 specifically, and this family is told to take their things and get out. They can only take one bag of personal items, and they are told to leave the country immediately. So we're going to see here another part of the history and past of Uganda that we probably don't know that much about. At least I personally don't know that much about. So this one is going to be very interesting alongside of the other one I just showed you. Okay, next on my list I have The Yield by Tara June Winch. And here she is right here. Okay, so Tara June Winch, I got introduced to her through Jacqueline from 6 Minutes for Me. And she spoke very highly of this one. So as soon as it was available, I tried to acquire it, but I couldn't acquire it until just a couple of months ago. And here it is. It says it's like the novel for black and white in Australia is how it's loosely described. Tara June Winch, I think, is part Aborigine, so I have a feeling it's going to be an interesting read. I'm very interested in reading more Australian lit because I feel like Australian lit is totally neglected. I know that sometimes it's hard to acquire the novels, but just recently I noticed there are quite a lot of Australian novels over on Scribd, and they start to be more available in different places. So I can't wait to get to this one. Hopefully I can read this in the summer. Okay, next on the list I have Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore. Here she is, Elizabeth Wetmore. Now, this particular novel I learned about through Patrice. Hey, Patrice. So Patrice had left me a message on Voxer telling me about reading an article by Leonard Pitts Jr. You know, I love Leonard Pitts Jr. So I read the article, and Leonard Pitts Jr. was admitting that he had not read a lot of women writers in a while. So last year when we had the first lockdown, he decided to read primarily women writers for 2020. And when he did that, he came back and he talked about the ones that he really, really enjoyed. And this was on his list. Now, Valentine, I started listening to it on Scribd. I think I listened about 20 minutes of the book, and I said, oh no, I need to read this book. And I picked it up immediately. And I feel like this book has some similar characteristic traits to the way Leonard Pitts Jr. writes his stories. So I have a feeling this one's going to be super poignant and it's going to be super emotional. And I'm wondering why this one is not on the BookTube prize. Just like I'm wondering why this one isn't on the BookTube prize. Because this one is Australian, yes, but it was available in the US at the same moment as Vanishing Half came out. So I figured Vanishing Half, The Yield, that they would both be on the list. And in the end, only The Vanishing Half was on the list. This wasn't on the list. I have a feeling this would have made a good contender on the BookTube prize list. And this one as well. Because they feel like, to me, they feel like books that would have fit on that list perfectly. Okay, next on my list I have Yellow Wife by Sadiqa Johnson. You know all about this book because I reviewed it. I absolutely loved it. This is a slave narrative, and I highly recommend this one. If you're interested in what I thought about it, I will have linked below my review of Yellow Wife. Next on my list, I have The Rib King by Dame Hubbard. This is a really peculiar cover. I don't know what to think about this cover. I mean, I don't know what y'all think. I'm not loving it, okay? I'm just not loving this cover. Hopefully it has something to do with the book, but you know, I don't know. But it says here, for 15 years, August Sitwell has worked for the Barclays, a well-to-do white family in a Midwestern city who plucked him from an orphan asylum and offered him a job. A child survivor of a racist massacre in the South, the groundskeeper is part of the household's all-black staff. Along with Miss Mammy, the talented cook, a young new maid, Jenny Williams, and 3 kitchen apprentices, the latest orphan boys Mr. Barclay has taken in to civilize as he did August. Whoo, child, this one right here. Yeah, like, this is La D. Hubbard right here. Here she is, La D. Hubbard. Okay, La D, you gonna bring it. I can see it. You gonna bring it, girl. So I'm gonna see what this one's all about. Probably this summer. This is probably a summer read for me. I'm still not feeling that cover. I don't know what's happening on this cover. Next, I have a collection of reprints, and this is from Mint Editions, which is a publishing company which is republishing editions. And this particular group of books, these are works that were republished from Black writers from before 1926. So I have here Behind the Scenes, Elizabeth Keckley. Then I have The Conjure Woman by Charles W. Chestnut. Then I have Minnie's Sacrifice by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. And I have The President's Daughter, William Wells Brown. And then I have finally The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Aluda Ekwano by Aluda Ekwano. So yeah, so the publisher was kindly sent me these editions. She found me and to help promote these over on Instagram. I thank him so much for this because I really am looking forward to getting to these, which I will sprinkle throughout the rest of the year. Okay, next on my list I have The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. Okay, this is one that I read and thoroughly enjoyed. This was in February. This is another slave narrative that revolves around two gay lovers. And oh my God, I tell you, if you like literary fiction, like if you love literary fiction, get on this. If you don't like literary fiction, stay the hell away. You're probably not going to like it. It's a very layered novel, and I even feel like I need to reread this one because there was aspects of this novel that I couldn't grasp because I was trying to grasp other aspects of it. But I had a discussion about this book with Christy Kia over on my Instagram. We talked about this for about an hour and 15 minutes, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope to see more from Robert Jones Jr. He's an excellent writer. He's going to bring something else. I don't know what, but whatever he does, it's going to be awesome. Next on my list, I have How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House by Sherry Jones. Okay, there's Sherry Jones right there. Okay, so this book has literally been all over the place. Okay, I particularly love this cover. I feel like it's very poignant. Look at that cover. I mean, this expression. Okay. Whew. I know I need to read this one really soon. So probably we'll get to that at some point this month. It says on the cover, it says, in Baxter's Beach, Barbados, Lala's grandmother, Wilma, tells her a cautionary tale about what happens to girls who disobey their mothers. For Wilma, it's the story of a willful adventurer who ignores the warnings of those around her and suffers as a result. That's all I'm going to read because that's all I know, and that's all I'm reading for myself. But I will definitely be back with a review of this, no worries. Probably, if I don't get to it this month, I will definitely get to it the month of June because it's Read Caribbean. You must remember Mbolo Mbue from her novel Behold the Dreamers, which I found extremely good for a debut novel. And here she is with a new one. Okay, now check out this picture of... She is just freaking gorgeous. Mbolo Mbue in this particular picture, gorgeous. All right, so this story, it says, is set in the fictional African village of Kosawa. How Beautiful We Were tells the story of people living in fear amidst environmental degradation wrought by an American oil company. Pipeline spills have rendered farmlands infertile. Children are dying from drinking toxic water. Promises of cleanup and financial reparations to the villagers are made and ignored. Okay, so you can see this one is going like probably make us really mad because that kind of stuff is happening now. So I cannot wait to get to this one. And this beautiful cover is very different from the cover that you usually see, which is the American cover, which I think is whack. That American cover is whack. I don't know who put that together, but it's not good. This one right here, this is what's happening right here. Okay, this is the UK cover. I much prefer this one. So this one I'm gonna try to get to fairly quickly because I'm just damn curious and I want to see what she's gonna bring to the table in this particular story, because she really came out in Behold the Dreamers. So I expect the same in the writing in this one as well. And I'll let you know because I'm definitely going to review this one. Okay, next on my list I have The Dragons, the Giant, the Women by Wyatt Moore. This one was published in March 2021. I was gifted this from the publishers. It came late, sadly. But this is one that I would like to read fairly soon. This one covers the escape of Wyatt Moore and her family during the Liberian Civil War. I can't wait to read this one. I have a feeling it's going to be very harrowing. I've never heard anything bad about this, only good stuff. I haven't had the chance to read anything by Wyatt Moore, although the only book I own other than this one is She Would Be King. So I'm quite interested to read what happens with their escape. I'm sure it's going to be very, very intense. That's it. Those are all of the books that I have received or bought since December 30th, 2020. And yeah, I feel like I've got some really good ones here, like excellent ones. Now, you know, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed because you just never know. There might be a dud in there somewhere. I don't think so personally, but you just never know. So stay tuned and I'll be coming with the reviews and you can then make your judgment on what you think I'm going to like or not like below. I'm curious to see. And also tell me below if any of these you've read and you really liked, or any of these that you think I won't like or I'm going to love. That's all I have for you today. And I'll be back with another review real soon. Bye-bye.